Yes, I represent Hampshire and Isle of Wight Wildlife Trust, and I'm concerned of the value of the environment within the district of Gosport to Hillhead. What I would really ask is which elements of the environment and facilities for people and for wildlife within the borough would you, as a candidate, if you were elected to Parliament, be prepared to die for, to defend?
Regarding the environment, we haven't been asked to die. To protect our coastlands, this nation has in the past had to be prepared to die. And one of the examples of that, which still reminds us of the terrible danger that Gosport, Stubbington, Lee-on-the-Solent and Hillhead faced in the past, was Workhouse Lake. And Workhouse Lake was dammed during the Second World War in order to provide sufficient water for putting out incendiary bombs. It's still dammed from time to time now. And it's an example of how we can change our coastal environment and possibly put it at risk, but not be quite sure whether the changes we make improve our environment or not. For example, Workhouse Lake down in the town area is a brackish lake. It's served by the tide with salt water, but also with fresh water coming in. As a result, it's a really special place for egrets to feed, also families of swans, and I understand a very rare anemone that only exists in brackish lakes. So all around our coastal neighbourhood, we have extraordinary examples, not just of special scientific interest, but environmental beauty and developments that came because some of this is MOD land that was therefore protected and was able to develop its wildlife. Now, in Workhouse Lake, for example, we've got a real problem at the moment because decisions have to be made about whether to keep it tidal or not. And that is one of the things I've been working on. Although, I have to say, I think there are more important things to die for than anemones.
I don't like the dying bit either. Yeah, the English Democrats believe that the resources of land and sea should be used in a way which gives consideration to the long-term consequences. Each generation holds the environment in trust for future generations. We should not leave them to bear the cost of our selfish and short-sighted behaviour. One of the reasons is that polluter should pay for everything he does. I'm all for that. We support the controls on noise pollution from roads, airports, domestic and any other source. We support much tighter restrictions on greenfield development and a better use of brownfield sites. Why ruin a greenfield site, eh? Well, there's a load of rubbish you can get cleared away and build something beautiful on it. Yes, we have a nice little county here. We have a nice little peninsula. Let's save it for everybody. If you're going to cut down a tree, plant two. It's easy, this environmental stuff. Thank you.
Well, I'm afraid I've got to declare an interest here. Anyone who tries to destroy Fulton Lake, I will die for it. Because that's where my vote is. So, yes, it's very important we do protect the environment. And I mean, I'm very privileged. I can stay aboard my boat most of the time. And I see the wildlife around. On the wetlands, we've got swans nesting literally a few yards from my boat. Yes, I really want to protect this area. It is a gorgeous area. There are a lot of calls from leisure industries, from commercial interests, and we do need strong legislation to make sure that all our areas are protected. And commercial development is one of the worst. And I would like to see it a lot more hamstrung than it is at the moment. Builders won't like hearing that. But that's my opinion.
Finance, please. Thank you.
Thank you. I do believe I've bumped into you on a couple of occasions because we do actually support Hampshire and other Wildlife Trust, my wife and myself, and we get your wonderful newsletter every month. Yes, we do need to protect the environment. We need to do everything we can. As a government, firstly, to encourage people and to make it worth their while to recycle everything that they can, to maybe make less car journeys, to go on planes less often, so that we actually do have a coastline left to look after. Because if the environment continues to go the way it's going, then the waters are going to rise that high that we're not going to have much of a coastline left beyond, which we say, Portsdown Hill, which would mean we'd all have to move off the beach. So, yes, the environment is very important. Would I lay down my life for it? Maybe not. Yes.
The other day I went up on a glider from the Daedalus airfield, and it's only then that I realised how many green pockets there are in this area. It's absolutely staggering how many lungs there are amongst all the housing, and it's so important that we keep it. It's such a valuable thing for us and for the well-being of future generations, for our kids. And not just the Adler Valley, but also the Browndown site is vast. It wasn't until I was up in the plane that I realised how big it is and how massively important it is that we protect these sites. I think one of the things we can do about this, obviously, is very, very much putting a cap on the number of houses that we build. There shouldn't really be any more necessity for housing in this area in the foreseeable future, I don't think. I think we've got enough, and we need to look at other uses for ground. I think one of the other things we need to look at is the quality of the seawater. One of our policies is to stop fishermen being able to throw dead fish back into the sea. The quality of the seawater has gone down so much in recent years, and that's another very, very big issue. We tend to forget about the creatures that live in the water, as well as the ones that live on the land. As for what I done, well, I'm quite keen on the gill kicker weevil that you spoke to me about earlier. What was the real name of it?
Bloody-headed weevil.
Yes, the bloody-headed weevil. It sounds quite a good thing to die for. Whether I will or not, I don't know. I've died for my children. On a really good day, I've died for my husband, but I don't know. I'm not sure about the bloody-headed weevil.
I'm an environmentalist. I'm a country boy from Essex originally, and my love of Essex and Hampshire are about equal, if you worry where my affinities lie. I worked on a farm, friend's farm, stacking bales and all that sort of thing, so I have a great love of the outdoors, and to encourage future generations to protect that environment fits perfectly with my education and recreation background. And as a local government officer, I've spent many hours working with Natural England, English Heritage, etc., etc. And planning authorities. I'll never forget the planning authorities. Again, I share with Caroline the view of keeping the sea clean. After all, Christ spent much time beside the sea, and also on it, of course, with the famous, well, the parable is famous, a parable of catching the fish beside the water, and I'm a Piscean.